Okay, on this problem number 1, the first one says, what is the limit of f of x as x approaches negative 2? Alright, so what you want to do here, and let me grab an arrow here. I'll grab 2 arrows and have one going this way and one going this way. Okay, all you're trying to do when you're trying to do limits, and I'll move this up, is you're trying to say what is the y value going as the function is approaching a negative 2. So all you're going to do, come up here, and you say, as I get closer and closer to negative 2, but I'm coming from the left side, what is the function approaching? And I say, what happens when I'm coming from the right side, closer and closer to negative 2? What does happen? And all you have to do is go straight up here and find out what your intersection is. So all you're really looking for here is what is your y value when x is equal or getting very, very close to negative 2. You don't really care what's happening at negative 2. You care about what happens at, say, negative 2.001 and what happens at negative 1.99. And if you look on your picture here, and I'm looking on the what you sent me, it looks like you're going 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say approximately y is equal to 4. But I'll let you look at that in your book because I'm looking on a cell phone. But that's the answer, approximately to the first one. Alright, so that's number A. Number B, what is the limit of f of x as x approaching 0? Okay, let's go back and let's grab these again. Move these out of the way. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll go from the left side first. So as x is getting closer and closer and closer to 0, what is this function doing? So what we can do is we can come up, move this down. We can come up here, we can look and see what's happening here. As I get closer and closer and closer to 0, what is this function doing? And we come up here and we say what is happening here as I get closer and closer to 0. What is taking place is, what is the y value? Well, the y value right there is 7. You don't care about this because you don't care what happens at when x is at 0. You care what happens when you're getting very, very close to 0. So the value would be 7. I'll write this down, 7 and 4. And again, check that one right there because I can't see too well on the cell phone. Alright, the second one, what is the limit of the function as x approaches 2? So we'll come back here, we'll try to do it this way. I'll go, what happens if I'm approaching 2 from the left side? Approaching 2 from the left side, I'm going to the value of about y is equal to 3. As I approach from the right side, getting closer and closer to 2, my value is going to 2. So since I'm going to 3 from the left side and 2 from the right side, we can say immediately that this equals 2 does not exist because I'm getting 2 different values. Alright, now let's do the same thing when x is approaching 4. Approaching 4, come over here, and what happens when we come from the left side? I'm looking at the cell phone here, where it looks like we're approaching 8. The y value is going to 8. As I'm coming from the right side, what is happening? I'm also approaching 8. This is a perfect example of what a limit is. You don't care what happens at 4 because there's a hole in the function. So there's no value when x is equal to 4. But as you come from the left side and come from the right side, you're approaching 8. So the value has to be 8. Okay, so that's how you do the first problem. Okay, this is problem number 1. The first one, problem number 2. This is part A, limit of f of x plus g of x as x approaches 1 from the negative side. So this is our f of x function. This is our g of x function over here. So as I approach, and this value is going to be 1, and this value is going to be 1. So as I'm coming from the left side, this function f of x is going to 3. As I approach 1 from the negative side, this value is going to 5. So the answer in this one would be 3 plus 5. I'm going to get 8. And that would be to part A. To B, what is the limit of f of x plus 2 times g of x as x approaches 1 from the positive side? Then coming from 1 from the positive side here, my y value is going to 4. And I'm going to go plus, and then 2 times g of x. As x approaches 1 from the positive side, I'm going to 1. So 4 plus 2, that gives me 6. So that value is for number 2 is going to be 6. This one here, the limit of fx as x approaches 1 from the negative side. If I'm coming from the negative side here, again, we're going to the value of 3. G of x, I'm coming from 1 from the negative side, I'm going to the value of 5. 3 times 5, that is 15. Limit of f of x, or g of x, as x approaches 1 from the positive side. So we go up to f of x, I'm going to 4. On this one here, I'm coming from the right side, I'm going to 1. And the answer is 4. And that's the answer to number 2. Okay, let's look at number 3. This one they want you use basically to graph it. You can do this without graphing, but I'll just show you how to do it with graphing. All you want to do with this one is go to your calculator and set up y1 is equal to the sine of 2x, and make sure you use enough parentheses here, divided by x. Okay, if you graph that function, let me do a better picture of that. If you graph that function, it's going to get something like this. Now my graphs are kind of rough, but this function is going to come up like this, and actually it's going to have a hole in the function. You probably won't see it with a calculator. And all you're looking for is what is this y value here. And you're going to find out y is equal to 2 in this case. Now the other thing you could do is do this, then go to second table set. Set your table start to 0, and set your delta table to, say, some value like 0.0001. Once you do that, go over and hit second table, and you look on each side of 0, because when you look at 0, you'll get a value of error. But if you look on the left and right side, you'll see the values of 2 and then 2. So you know that it has to go to 2. And that's a good way to do this. Okay, let's try number 4. Oh, I have not put this one on the calculator. It says, what is the limit of the cosine of 0 minus 1 over 0? Again, go back to y1, clear it. And again, in both these cases, make sure you're set for radians. You have to be set for radians for your mode. You cannot be set for degrees. You're going to go to the cosine of x. That. Do minus 1. Put all this in parentheses. And then divide this by x. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing in my calculator. I'm going to do the cosine of x. Again, let me put one more set of parentheses in there. Okay, minus 1, close parentheses, divided by x. And I'm going to go back to second table set. I'll go back to 0. Okay, got that. Graph that. A second here and I'm about done. Okay, go back to second table set. I'll go back to 0. I'll go to point. And go second table, and I get a very small value on each side. So what I know on this one, for example, when I do second table set, I find out I'm going to 0. So on each side, I'm going to get a very, very small number. I'll put VS and VS. Meaning if I look on the left side of 0, it's a very, very small number. The right side of 0, very small number. So I have to be going to 0. So y is equal to 0. And you can do this through graphing or just use your second table set function.